right, welcome everybody. We'll get started here. Today's presentation is about how to do the fishbowl bonus and how to do it correctly. Many offices are currently using it, and sometimes they're not always using it quite correctly. And obviously, if you're new to Whitehall, this is Whitehall 101. This is the first thing you do is set up a bonus system based around this fishbowl bonus. Here are the basics. For those of you just getting started, a fishbowl bonus. Greg, what's a fishbowl bonus? What does that mean?
Well, first of all, it's the only team bonus in Whitehall. Everything else is individually determined. This one is all about focusing on today. If we pull together and make today's goal, everybody gets a draw out of the fishbowl. Now, you could just give everybody a set dollar amount, but the fishbowl puts an element of excitement. There might be a $250 chip in the fishbowl, 100, several hundreds, a 50s. In other words,
Excitement.
yeah, it's exciting. Makes people kind of want to see production as opposed to being glad a patient can show up so we can go home early.
That is the fishbowl in a nutshell. There are some basics to it. We have a fishbowl matrix at Whitehall, where it just basically tells you how many 20s, how many 50s, how many 100s, and how many 250s there are. And every office will do it slightly different, but we have a starting point for you as far as what should be in it. And then it's about picking your daily goal.
Let's back up a second, because there's doctors watching this too, and you know, there's a fear sometimes that we're just sitting here giving away their money. So the way you figure out the cost of a fishbowl as you look forward, project forward, take all the markers you've got in the fishbowl and add them up. And maybe it's $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever, and divide it by the number of chips or rocks or whatever. That tells you what the cost of the average draw
is. Right.
So the doctor's got 10 staff and the average draw is $30. They know it's going to cost them $300. So we want the doctor to know this, because one of the most important things about the fishbowl is that staff see doctors smiling when they draw, as opposed to doctors going, oh no, she got the 100, oh no. Because if they see you cringe, doctor, they actually don't want to see this happen. They like you. And so you got to be on board. So now you know what that's going to cost you. So let's say today, 2 people drew the largest chip possible. Statistically going forward, that's not possible.
Right.
So you don't need to panic. Typically, the person that draws the largest chip is the person you have already decided to fire on Friday. Don't ask me why that is. But so from the doctor's standpoint, please know that this has been thought through. We've done it in hundreds, literally hundreds of offices, and it works. It's not going to bankrupt you.
Let's show an example of what a fishbowl would look like, because we have one here. Let's pull out our fishbowl here. This is what it looks like. These are aquarium rocks.
Different colors.
And each color represents a dollar amount. And so the idea is you pull one, and this is $20. This one might be worth $50. This is an example of a fishbowl. Real fishbowl right there.
That's a Walmart PetSmart fishbowl.
Right. So how do you set the goal? That's usually the biggest question. Once you've set one up and you've bought all the rocks, how do you set the daily goal? First of all, the daily goal is not your daily goal that you have now. There's a certain dollar amount that you know you need to produce per day to...
And it's not even that either. We consider that. It's what's on the book.
Right. That's
for the day. Plus something. Let's be honest. There's too many offices that have 10,000 on the book and end up at 7.
Right.
In other words, they go backwards. This is based on what's on the book plus go forward. And I would say a number we see a lot is 20%. So somebody goes, okay, so that's 2,000. So it's 2,000 a day. No, it's the day, what's on the book
plus 20%.
plus 20%.
That's a very typical number. There'll always be some kind of bare minimum. In other words, it's never going to be below 5,000 a day or 7,000. There's a bare minimum that will set the target. But after that, it's like Greg said, it's based on the day where you're at, and you'll add to 20%, sometimes 30% to a number, to that number, and that's your starting point. That's where you start. You know you're setting your targets right if the staff are hitting it roughly half the time. So if you work 4 days a week, we want to see them hit it 2 days a week about. If they're hitting it 3 and 4 days a week, it's too easy. You're setting the goals too low. If they're not hitting it at all, obviously it's too difficult. This is how
It's not working.
Right. This is how you know it's not working. And so that's how you set the goal.
Remember, as soon as staff know conclusively that you will not support their efforts to achieve the goal, it's dead on arrival. For example, hygienist comes in, says got a patient wants to get 2 crowns if they can stay today, and you go, oh, I'm kind of tired, or you don't figure out how to work it in, or staff block her and say, he's kind of tired, let's not even tell him about it. If you have that kind of thing going on, don't expect this to motivate staff to push over the top of these people and force the production. You can't force it.
Right, right.
Everybody's got to be on board, including the doctor.
All right, so we covered to exceed the goal by, usually we start with 20%.
You can even have a double draw. See the 2X?
Right.
That means you hit, let's say that we have 10 on the book. The goal, let's say, was 12, and you hit 15. Well, you get to draw twice.
Yeah, you can have a second number where there's a double draw.
Right.
So a lot of times it's in offices where at 11 o'clock, they've already met the goal. They've already blown past it. So how do we keep motivating them? We set an even larger target out there, and they keep on pushing.
They get another draw.
They get another draw for it. The goal is set typically in the morning by the clinic administrator before the day starts. And usually the draws are done the following day in the morning huddle. Sometimes some offices have enough of the staff leaving at the same time where they draw at the end of the day. But most often the draws are done
Morning huddle.
The morning huddle.
And that's motivating because they see that, man, if I do this, I get this reward, and it makes them more excited about today.
Right. People always say, how do we pay it out? In cash? Does it go into their paycheck? It goes into their paycheck.
With a note.
We like a note in there to
say how much was bonus.
Right, how much was bonus. And it's usually done and tabulated into next month's paycheck. So we're earning bonus this month in let's say you're in July. Well, the next month is when you actually pay it out in those pay periods. So that's how you calculate it and pay it out.
Keeps it from becoming a bookkeeping nightmare.
Right. Shorten days, reduce the goal. If you're a short provider, if you have 2 doctors, you have to make it attainable. That's the whole idea.
Doctors never forget that what's at stake is coming in below what's scheduled. In other words, if there's only 5,000 scheduled on a short day, you gotta have motivated people, or you'll come in at 3 or 4.
Right.
As they quietly celebrate getting to leave early or getting to take a longer break or whatever. All right, so shorten days. Try to keep the staff motivated.
That's the whole point.
See,
of this.
There's doctors who think, well, if I cut my day in half, it'll easily overflow. It won't, don't worry about it. That's not true. Staff literally drag this out of people.
Right.
And we don't want to lose that.
One of the reasons why we came up with this daily instead of monthly is because on monthly goals, what we saw at the beginning of the month was a real lack of motivation from staff until they got near the end of the month.
And it looked like they were going to make it anyway.
Right. Then they'll push. But we were seeing a real motivational vacuum at the beginning of the month in a lot of practices, or entitlements, where it turns into an entitlement. See, you get to change every day what the goal is. And so if they're hitting it too easy and it becomes that entitlement, you just start raising the goal a little bit so that they have to push for it. That's the whole point.
Some offices will add 3 operatories, 3 assistants, and another associate, and not raise the goal.
Right.
In other words, it has to reflect staff doing a great job on the schedule, what's scheduled, plus adding some same day.
Right. Target is twice a week to be able to set the fishbowl to where they're hitting it twice a week. If you're working 5 days a week and they hit it twice, you're doing just perfect there.
Now, if they take to this and they get hyper excited and they just keep running it up the flagpole and they do 3 times, yeah, you can raise the target, but no, at some point.
You still got to have them hit it twice a week.
They got to hit it twice a week.
It becomes an entitlement when they're hitting it every day.
Week after week.
Right. That's when it becomes an entitlement.
If you go 2 weeks without hitting fishbowl,
you got to lower it. You got to let them have draw.
yeah, because you've got staff that are unmotivated and that doesn't get better. You got to fix it.
Here's another benefit of this bonus system is today we get all this drive and motivation to talk patients into staying and getting treatment. And really everybody is looking and trying to get patients to follow through with treatment. Well, statistically, not all of that gets booked into the day.
Some of it gets booked out.
Yeah, it gets booked out. It helps fill the schedule, tomorrow, the next day, and the following day. And you get to reset those targets. So it helps push the whole practice, not just today.
Not just today. While they're working on today, they're actually building the schedule.
Absolutely. Greg talks right here about the flexible bowl.
Well, that's an idea where you use the bowl to benefit other behavior you want to happen. For example, you can have a leadership bowl. You can let all leaders get to draw twice if certain goals are hit for certain things.
Yeah, Google reviews.
Right, Google reviews. If staff generate a referral, you can trace to them. They get a draw. So, doctors used to walk through the office with their own dollars. They would have
a lot of money. Yeah.
A lot of fake money, and they would give it to staff for good behavior. You could give out a ticket for a draw for something you see staff going above and beyond. So you can use it as a multi-purpose bonus.
Ways to cheat, Greg. Yeah, you've seen it.
Okay, first of all, we've seen so many people cheating. I would say it's a small percentage.
It is, yeah.
But usually it's because the bowl isn't well supervised. The bowl has to be locked up. Doctor, they have safes at Costco for $200 or $300. They fit in your office. You can put something on top of it. Put the bowl in a safe. Don't because staff will literally remove the smaller rocks or chips. Okay, another is when staff get to draw themselves, they will palm the rock, the high dollar rock.
Yeah, they'll go to Costco or wherever and pick up these rocks or poker chips, and then they'll bring one to work and palm it.
Right.
We've seen some incredibly lucky staff members pull 25 chips over and over and over again.
Trust me, in Las Vegas, the dealers of blackjack have to be watched closely because they know how to make $100 chip disappear and reappear in their pocket. and I'm not joking, there's a lot of creativity to it.
Oh, yeah.
They have hollowed out watches, they have all kinds of things. Well, don't let staff draw. You do the drawing or the leader does the drawing and she rolls up her sleeve so staff can see that it's there. Yeah. Make sure staff get to find the high dollar chips. It's in there, then mix it up real good. Reach in while you look away and pull out
Susie's chip.
Susie's chip.
Right.
Now, if that's a high dollar chip or not, after she gets it and it's recorded, it's put back in the bowl. That way, everybody's drawing from the same bowl.
Yeah, that's the
otherwise, the last person that draws has the odds in their favor.
Different odds, right? So always put the chip back in. That will.
And doctor, this is the hardest part, is to be excited and cheer for them getting to draw. When somebody gets the big draw and it's $250 or $100, whatever, and you just know that's coming right out of your hide, you have to be able to cheer and smile for them. And it's easy when it's your favorite staff person. You're not allowed to have favorites any more than you are to have favorite children. But there are staff that follow the rules better. They're more supportive of you. And when they don't get the big chip, you still got to be okay with who gets what.
Right, right.
I've had offices call and say, we want to give back our bonus. And I say, why is that? And he said, because after we drew, the doctor was moping around
for a day. Yeah.
He was sad about what it was costing him.
Yeah, yeah.
So doctor, buy into it or don't. And they can't really hurt you because
You can set the goal.
Remember, if the schedule was at 10, you could have come in at 7.
A lot of times.
A lot of times they do.
offices go backwards. Yeah.
So we have 10 on the schedule and they take you up by 2. Like Wes said, first of all, they were padding the future schedule. They made sure we didn't go negative today, and it's positive. The odds of you coming out bad on that are 0.
So the biggest mistake that we see with Fishbowl is how to set the daily goal.
Right.
It's not being done correctly. It's a static number. Don't have a static number that it's $7,500 a day every day, because then you run into the sandbagging effect, where we sandbag today and we pile in patients tomorrow so that we hit that static number. This is how we keep motivation high every day. And that's really the sign that to see that it's working, you're trying to create a level of excitement in the office. That's why we draw. That's why we draw every morning, is to create an atmosphere of excitement with the team. And that's part of the point, is to change the culture from the dreary, who's next, to exciting atmosphere. And that's what you're looking to achieve with this bonus.
I just talked to someone who was feeling fatigue from having to deal with patients with low dental IQ. And it was just wearing them down. I hear, what's a crown? Without some kind of payoff, some kind of upside, dentistry can be a drag.
It can, yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's Fishbowl Bonus in a nutshell.